I think it was 33.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to another live with me and Mathew Watt, all the way up in Scotland. How are you, buddy?
I'm very good. How are you doing?
I'm very well, mate. Good to see your face. A big fan of yours. I know we've not met yet, but I wanted to meet for a while, actually, so I'm very
Well,
honoured to have you on, pal.
Thank you very much. And obviously what you're doing is amazing. You've been busy.
Thank you, mate. Yeah,
Very busy, haven't you?
it's very full on. We've had to go down to 3 a week this week because I just can't. It's a full-time job. But
It's time consuming,
anyway,
isn't it?
yeah, the numbers are coming in, the viewers are going up, so over to you, my friend.
Well, everyone, thanks for joining me. I hope everyone is keeping good and keeping safe, of course. Today, we're going to be doing a very commercial freehand balayage. I think it's something that we all get asked a lot about in the salon. And I think sometimes hairdressers, they get confused. There's so many different ways to do it. So I'm going to show you my way. I'm not saying it's the only way or the right way, but it's the way I like to do it. It's the way I feel in the salon, time-wise. It's all good. So I'm going to go straight in with the section in. I've started this off just now. Also, at the end of the video, I'm going to show you the final look with another doll set I've got, okay? So you will see the results. So the section is really easy. We've got it in a quadrant here to start off with, as you can see. Really simple. And then what we've done for these first sections, if you can pop this down a bit, Alex, just so we can see. So what we've got for these first sections here, we're taking them at quite a steep angle. So one of my key points for balayage is to make sure there's no straight lines. We don't want straight lines in the result, so we don't really want any in the section in either. So keep a nice steep angles, and that will eventually become almost like a diamond shape, okay? So I'm going to go ahead. Any questions, please let us know. Simon is currently in my ear, so let us know the questions and we'll get started. So I think, and there's no silly questions either. The more questions, the better. It makes it better for everyone, all right? So first section, we're pinching it here. And something that doesn't get mentioned too often is the tension when we have to hold for balayage, okay? So keep a good tension, and then we're really painting that onto the surface. So again, it's something that I do in the salon every day. Obviously not just now, but normally. And it's not, if you get it down to sort of the way you like to do it and get that confidence, you can do this reasonably quickly, and it's a great effect for your clients, okay? So again, this part of the hair, we're really focusing on the surface. Also, you might get a wee visit from a cat down here. He's sort of looking about, so apologies for that. Alex is bribing him with tuna just now, so it's all good. So as you can see, we're really coming down the hairline, still keeping it on the surface. What we'll do as the sections go on, I'll show in more detail the underneath bit. So at the moment, there's nothing on this underneath section, and that is key for a seamless balayage. So I'm using a board here as well, and that's because we're doing it completely freehand. We're not going to use any foils. So for me, the board or the paddle in these looks is a great tool to have. That is very fresh, a lot of pressure on that. So thanks everyone for watching. I do appreciate it, and please share, tag, do what you need to do, and please ask questions. So that's the first section done. The great thing about this technique, is that you can use it for a variety of different looks. Like I will do this in the salon for clients that have maybe got balayage already, and they might just need that little sort of top up. But we all know when salons reopen again, there's going to be a lot of colour corrections, and this is another great way to really lift a lot of the hair and get a lot of that box dye out that I'm sure we're going to see, but in a very soft finish as well. Okay, so whatever way you want to do this, it's a great technique. Also today, I would normally, just before anyone gives me a hard time, I would normally be wearing gloves, but for obvious reasons, I'm not doing that today. I think they're needed more in other places than me right now. I can get this lightener off my hands quite easily. It's all good. But normally in a salon environment, I would be wearing gloves, of course. Good. Yep, let us know where you're watching from. Let us know what you've been up to. And yeah, I just really hope everyone enjoys this and gets as much out of it as possible. And what I was going to say, in salon environments as well, I know that we're all time conscious. So before we go into the time side of it, taking my next section, I'm using a clay lightener here, which is by far it's a favourite one, best one I've used so far, I feel. So we're not using foil, so we've not got that worry of it bleeding onto other sections of the hair. If you wanted a look with more of a lift, you could use foil, which is a way that I like to do it. But for this, we don't need to, which is great. But yeah, the time side of it, you could probably do, like depending on the thickness of the hair, I can probably do a sort of full head of this technique in probably about an hour or so. So it's definitely achievable. So this bit, we've taken again the diagonal sections, working up the head. And then what you can do, you can either take a slice here. A lot of stylists, when I'm doing my education on this, are scared to slice the hair because they feel that that's going to be blocking. You're not weaving it to get a soft finish, but you definitely can weave it. I could weave this full look, slice this full look, and it would be really soft. If you would rather not do that from a confident side, you can take a really thick weave, and that will still give you that beautiful result. It will just give you, as a stylist, a little bit more confidence, and until you sort of build up to that, I would imagine. So I'm going to slice this just because I feel when you're slicing, and please, if anyone agrees or disagrees, please leave it in the comments. Let us know when you're watching. I feel you get a bit more of a cleaner tension when you slice as opposed to weaving. So, nearly to wow. Thank you so much, everyone. Really do appreciate it. So again, we've got the tension here. Hopefully you can see this. We're just painting that on really softly, okay? So we always want to be higher up. Again, you don't need to take it. Don't need to take it right to the root, but I tend to take it reasonably high up. It's not going to be as light in these areas, so you can do it that a little bit further. And then something I'll talk to you a bit more at the end is the zone tone that I love to do on balayage and the final looks, and it just gives you that little bit of a, don't say room for error because you shouldn't need it, but it's a great technique to use that when you are building up your technique for freehand work, that you can use every time to guarantee an absolutely perfect blend, okay? So yeah, the zone tone, if for any reason I'm forgetting about it at the end, Simon can hopefully remind me. I'll put the pressure on Simon instead of me for that. So there we go, that section done. You can see once you get into the rhythm, it's great. What you can do as well, if you're worried about it going onto the underneath, just with your tail comb, just gradually pop that down and it will sit really nicely. You'll probably see the cat now, I think. He's going to get involved with the balayage, I think. So again,
questions for you, sorry.
Yeah, questions are good.
Yeah, Tracy Dunbar said, can you just repeat what product it is you're using? And then a personal question from me would be, how saturated is the underneath of this section?
So, great questions. So, the product I'm using is from a brand called Kuhn. So, it's their clay lightener that I'm using. It's called Freedom Blonde. And I love it. I think I've used a few different ones. And for me, I don't say the issue with clay lighteners. The worry always is regarding, is it going to lift cleanly enough? Is it right when they say it doesn't sort of bleed onto other parts of the hair? So yeah, the Kuhn Freedom Lightener is the one that I'm using here. And for all my sort of freehand work is what I tend to go for. And Simon, what was your question? Thanks for that, Tracy. Any more questions, please keep on asking.
Yeah, mate, you're doing brilliantly. Got a good audience here. Just the question for myself personally is, how saturated is the underneath of this section with you using the board?
Underneath section is pretty saturated, Simon. So it's as saturated, not as saturated as it can be, but there's enough colour on there to sort of saturate through the sort of both parts of the hair. So what I'll do is just again show you on this area here. This part that we're painting on now is very much the surface. And again, when we're painting on, don't worry. Like there was an area there that I put on. There was a little bit too much hair for my liking. But if you know the techniques, you can easily brush that down. If you know don't say the basics, if you know the techniques though, you can't really go wrong. That's what I love about this technique. And it's what I love when I'm doing my education on this course. It has been the most popular course that you can really leave the course, and hopefully a lot of you guys can sort of go away from the live tonight and really recreate a variety of looks with this and make it your own. I know you do a lot of education, Simon, and a lot of the people on here do. And for me, that is why I do it. I want the people on the courses to be able to leave knowing something completely different and being able to achieve something when they go back to the salon.
Lucy Kerr has asked you, hi Matt, I'm an educator myself. Why do you think that people are scared of freehand?
So hi Lucy, thank you very much for watching. I think there's a lot of reasons, and I think one of the reasons is that there is so many variations that we see on Instagram and social media. Everyone on this page, I'm sure, loves social media and uses social media, and I'm definitely one of them. And as I know, probably 99% of people are. I think there's so many different variations of it. I think a lot of times on Instagram and stuff, you see maybe a processing picture and you see a final look, but you don't necessarily get the information behind that processing picture and why they've done a certain thing. So for me, when I'm doing things like this, I think people need to understand, right from an educator's point of view, we need to make sure the people that are on our courses are watching know why we're doing something, so they can go to the salon and they'll know when to use that technique and when not to use it. I think it's a combination. I think there's so many variations. It's not like cutting a line. There's so many different ways to do it. So I think that's probably where the confusion comes in a little bit, if that makes sense. And let me know if you agree, Lucy, and let us know why you think people are maybe a bit scared of it. I think probably people have done it a certain way and got bad results as well, possibly. And I think the same as anyone, it puts us off, doesn't it? If we do something that's not the way we want it to be, you kind of put it to the back a bit and try and hide from it a bit. But yeah, that'll be my sort of main reasoning. So just to go back, Simon asked about the saturation here. We can see what we're doing here, really saturating it as much as possible. And again, a technique that I do, the brushing up bit at the end here, that we do for very much sort of blending that through. And by brushing it up, I'll show you in the next section a little bit more. What that does is, again, gives you that little bit of an insurance policy almost to just blend through the transition from saturated to surface. It gives you that great sort of option to do that.
Awesome.
So again, I'm taking another sorry, on you go, Simon.
Tracy Dunbar said she's loving the brush that you're using, but also what level of lift can you achieve with the product that you are using?
So the brush is great. It's one of the Framer ones. I'm sure a lot of us are aware of them. Levels of lift is up to 7, to be honest, which to be honest, I'm not going to lie, I've not got the exact numbers in front of me. But yeah, I'm sure it's 7 levels of lift you can get. But the perfect probably amount is to aim between 1 and 5. If you've got a client that maybe you need to get a very clean 7 to 8 levels of lift, I would probably then go to using a lightener. And what I would do there, so I would still paint it on the same. I'd paint it on the exact same, and maybe even still using the clay lightener. But when you come to the ends, painting that with either a slightly higher end developer or insulating that bit with foil, which is another technique that I use a lot. By using the foil in the work, what that does is gives you the control to get that, and obviously gives you that heat to be able to lift the hair that little bit more, especially for colour corrections. But you're still getting the freehand effect because you're only putting the foil on. If I was to put the foil on this area, it'd be from sort of mid-lengths to ends, okay? Hope that makes sense. And thanks for the questions, Tracy. I appreciate them.
So Lorraine Fitzgerald has said, hi Matt, what size sections are you using, please?
So sections-wise, I'm taking, this is going to be sort of the most vague answer. Thanks so much for your question, though. Probably at the moment, about 1/2 inch. Now, again, you could take finer sections. I think with this technique, you don't want it to be too fine, though, because we are wanting to paint on the surface. If the sections are too fine, what will then happen is it will sort of seep through to the underneath. So again, it's a technique that you can make your own. So if you were doing a full head colour correction, I would take probably sizes like this, because as you can see, a lot of the hair's been covered here, okay? Whereas if I had a client in who already had balayage, and to be honest, a lot of the time, clients come in, if they come in 6 to 8 weeks' time and they get balayage done, you're not stuck, but it still looks really, really good. So I would probably take similar size sections, but just not as many of them. So depending on hair type and density, you can definitely take thicker sections. The only thing with the thicker sections is be aware of saturating the mid-lengths and ends that little bit more. It's a great question, though, and it's something that in the future, like, give me a message. I try and help as much as I can. If you've got a certain hair type, or like when we reopen, if you've got a client coming in and you're not sure, I will try my best to help and get back to anyone. But yeah, like an inch, half an inch is ideal, to be honest. And what you can do with this technique, I'm taking a slice, so I'm leaving a little bit of hair out in between. But if you're back in the salon and a client's wanting a bigger change than that, you can do this with every section and not leave a section out. It will take away the balayage bit of it a little bit, because for me, and let me know again if I'm not saying everything that I say is right, but for me, when I'm doing work in the salon, I think it's nice to leave a bit of the natural colour, because I feel that the depth and dimension really makes balayage just sort of pop and give them that really nice, classy look. So you can definitely do more or less of the hair depending on the look that you and your client are after. I've got a client in who gets a regrowth done. She's like a base 6, and she wants some sort of balayage pieces, and I can maybe get away with putting through, after I do her roots, there's maybe like almost 8 pieces throughout the hair, and that's enough just to give her that little bit brightness, that little bit more dimension to the look, and something a little bit different, as opposed to just having her roots done. So it's a great way to add a service to a client as well. And like doing a little bit of work like this, whether it's 8 pieces, 10 pieces, whatever it may be. We're doing a lot more today, though, obviously, because I want to show the technique, and this is what you would use when you go back to the salon for quite a big change. But yeah, you can do a lot with adding a few pieces with the right technique, and the right vision and stuff. It makes a massive difference to people's looks. So yeah, sections can vary in size, but definitely you can get away with taking them a bit thicker than I am. In all honesty, and I'll be as honest as possible, this section here, for example, is probably on the slightly finer side, okay? There's still nothing under here, but I would probably, in an ideal world, have taken that section a little bit thicker, okay? So again, I think it's important to know these things, because in a salon environment, not every section you take goes absolutely perfectly. We all know that, no matter how good we are and how much we do something, not every section is perfect. So to know how to rectify that and know what changes to make is really important.
Paula Gill has said, do you normally use cling film in between? I always end up in a mess.
Yeah, do you know what? It's something I don't use, to be honest. Thanks so much for your question as well. I don't use cling film. If I'm using anything, the only time I will use something is when I'm using foil, because I want a little bit extra lift. I think because I've got the confidence in this product that it doesn't seep onto the underneath is a big thing for me. So I've got the confidence. So no, I don't. I've never used cling film. I remember a few years ago, talking about making a mess. I've done a course, and we were to use cotton wool. And I'm sure we've all seen those nice pictures again on Instagram. Using cotton wool, and I just got a complete mess. It was everywhere. So I think if you can get a product that you're confident in, and there's lots of clay lighteners out there, find the right one that's for you. You can if you're good in your technique, again, the sectionings, and you know exactly what you're doing, you can get away without using cling film.
Awesome. Katie Boots has said, what strength volume are you using, please?
So thanks again, Katie, for your question. And again, I'm going to be honest, I'm actually using a 40 vol here. Now, the reason I'm using that is because it is what I had in my house. So this clay lightener is has got its own specific developer to go with it. It's almost got, so again, I don't know the scientific words behind it, but it's almost got like a slight hold to it. So in the developer, it's almost similar to what you'd put in gels to give that little bit of hold, which is great for this product because you can feel as soon as you put it on, you do have that hold, so you can place it down with confidence. But yeah, normally depending, you can definitely use a 40 vol with this. Be careful with that though. I always tend to use quite a low developer and give it more time to develop. I think that's normally the best option. I'm using 40 because it was in my house. And I would use this on some, if a client was 100% and I thought that freehand was 100% the right technique, I would definitely go in with 40, but definitely only if I knew that the hair wasn't going to be compromised. That's always the most important part. So yeah, definitely. But again, because this product, because it does dry in the hair, you don't want to leave it on for too long because it might stop working. It might stop if you leave it on for sort of longer than you would normally. The processing might stop a little bit with it being a clay light now.
Nita Louise Hicks has said, "Can you show us the underneath to see the saturation, please?"
100%, of course I will. What I'll do, this section I'm going to do just now. So yeah, sorry, I'm forgetting that people can't hear Simon. I will show you the saturation of the underneath bit in a little second. So when I'm doing the top bit, I know this isn't the bit you were necessarily meaning, but I'll show you the saturation through the ends in a second. So this bit here, there's nothing underneath, okay? And that is the key, and it's a bit that I really enjoy. I really enjoy that bit because that's a sort of delicate bit. It sounds really cheesy, and you see sort of people talking about it, but you really are at this point sort of painting your picture, as people like to say, all right? And then through the ends, we're going to saturate it more. So here, hope you guys can see this. Bring it a little bit closer for you. So in this area here, there's nothing underneath. Can you see that? Okay. So nothing underneath here, but it's on the surface, all right? So then once you get, and again, depending on what you want the look to be, you can start the saturation a little bit higher up or lower down. And then once I've got to that point, placing the board here, and then we're really painting this on, okay? So once I get to this point, once the board is coming down, the bit between transition between saturation and the surface, I'll sort of brush up a little bit, and that just gives you that nice blend. So this area here, I keep painting over and over again, okay, at the top of the board. And that means when you come to the end, this area here has all been sort of completely covered, okay? And you've got a really good saturation. So obviously I'm not wearing gloves here, but you can see through here, it's all saturated through here. You can see how it gradually goes through that way, okay? So hopefully that...
Commented on that. Somebody has said, actually, I've noticed you're not wearing any gloves and you don't have any bleach on. You're a very clean worker. Well,
do you know what? If anyone watching this that knows me, and somebody's just said I'm a very clean worker, they'll be laughing. I'm not, so it must be the pressure of having you guys watching, okay? But thank you for that. As I said at the beginning, I would normally wear gloves, but with PPE and these things in shortage just now, I don't really need it, all right? So this is an important bit here as well. Hopefully you guys can see this pretty well. We've worked up the head and diagonal sections. So we've now come to this crown area, which is really important for balayage, okay? So it's almost like a triangular section here. And what I'm going to do is take a section here. So it's quite a thick section, this. I'll explain why. Taking that down. So it's probably one of my thicker sections that I've done. Because what that now means is that when we're painting onto the surface here, there's a lot more depth in this bit, okay? So with balayage, I always think we want a bit more depth through the crown area. We don't want to go quite as high up, or it becomes more highlighted as opposed to balayage. So we've been really concentrating, as you can see, with the angles that we've taken. So higher up here and lower here. So when we get to this point in the middle, we don't want to go too high. So I will be painting on the surface from about here and saturating the hair a little bit lower down than I have been on the previous sections. Please let me know if that makes sense, and if there's anything anyone wants to go over, please ask. Also, what I'm not doing here, I'm not taking an extra slice or anything, because I think it's important as well with balayage and a lot of colours, you want to work with what you've got. You don't want to make things harder for yourself. So here, I'm starting a bit further down when I first start to paint that on. Brush that up. And again, once we finish this bit, and I think the people that I've had on my sort of freehand balayage courses, this bit's always scared them because They've been worried that because it's quite a big section, it's a slice technically, you've not weaved it, there's going to be harsh lines. But I promise you guys, there's not at all. There won't be. As long as you keep the surface, see, there's absolutely nothing here. Nothing not saturated at all. And then we're just coming down that a little bit further. And then again, I've not saturated this through the ends till we've got a bit further down the hair this time. And that will just give you that little bit more dimension when it comes to the final look. So yeah, I think, thank you, Vedas. So Simon's just saying, I know I'm not to repeat everything he says, but saying it's looking good. So I hope everyone else is liking it so far and enjoying it. So there we go, that is the back section complete. So again, obviously time-wise, I've not used to be doing hair in my kitchen, so it's taking a little bit longer. But as you can see, you've got this really nice depth through this area, a bit higher up at the sort of tops of the section. And that's it, guys. We're going to go into the front now. And for any, well, I've got one more section here, sorry. So once I do this section, we'll go into the front, obviously. And yeah, I said at the very beginning, so for anyone that missed out, once I do this full look, I think it's, when Simon first got in touch with me, I was going to just do the front sections and show you guys that. And I thought, you know what, we've all got time. And again, I think just seeing the front section would mean you would go away knowing how to do the front section of the hair. So I wanted to do the full thing. So once I've done the full look here, I've got a doll set that I've done not that long ago with the exact same technique that I will show you guys, okay? So this section here, I've taken a little bit of a slice, but still keeping the section reasonably thick. And again, we're just not going up quite as high as we have with previous ones. And as I know I repeat myself occasionally, but hopefully there's new people watching and going out, okay? We'll go over at the end with the zone tone as well, which is a great way, guys. If anyone's not confident in getting a perfect blend with these kind of colours, make sure you stay to the end and hear what the zone tone, because it's just a great way, and it really is a foolproof way of getting a perfect blend, even if you are that little sort of worried about just freehand painting hair, okay?
On that note, actually, somebody's asked a question, which she's from Aberdeen, and she wants to know whereabouts are you from in Scotland. But while we're on that subject, why don't you tell us a bit about yourself?
A bit about myself. So, thank you. What was the person's name in Aberdeen, sorry? Well, thanks very much for asking. So, I'm from Edinburgh. All my courses are held in my salon in Edinburgh, although I do sort of travel when we're allowed to as well. So yeah, I'm from Edinburgh. So a little bit about me. I'm trying to think where to start and not to bore people. What I'll do is I'm going to take this first section first, just so you can, and then I'll give you my life story, okay? So again, these sections here, we've worked with the doll said sort of natural pattern as wanting to split just off centre. So that's what I would work with a client, okay? We're going to take a diagonal section. And again, we're taking these diagonal sections because we want to keep that sort of higher up here, gradually going deeper, okay? So yeah, a little bit about myself. I started hairdressing when I was about 17 going sort of towards 18. I was a bit later than I know a lot of people start. Before I'd done that, I played sort of football when I was sort of in my younger days. And that's what I wanted to be. So then, yeah, that didn't work out. And yeah, I got into hairdressing. I'm sure all of us will know, to be honest, Lee Stafford, the hairdresser. He had a TV programme on at the time, and I thought he looks quite cool. I'll give that a shot. And as soon as, to be honest, I started working in a local salon. So just this bit here around the face as well, although we've got other sections for the face frame, this is the bit you've got to be quite careful with. I don't mean it's all important, of course, but this is the bit the client sees, okay? So we're painting it right up to the root here. And then, again, we obviously want to have it a little bit lower down on this side when we're painting it on, if you can see that. Turn it around a little bit. There we go. So yeah, you want to start this a little bit lower down, but the great thing about taking these sections is it's going to do that for us naturally anyway, okay? So a bit higher up through here, and then you're really blending that through. There we go. So yeah, as soon as I started in the salon, it was a local salon. It was very much an older clientele. And I remember reading Hairdresser's Journal in there and thinking, wow, like there was things about art teams and awards and stuff like that. And I thought, I want a bit of that. So I think I found out quite soon that I would have to go somewhere else to get my training, to get that sort of side of the industry. So I then went to Saks. There was two in Edinburgh at the time, so I went and worked on one of the Saks. That at the time their education was amazing. It was really strict, which I really enjoyed. There was other assistants with me that hated it, but I think because I had been sort of playing football and sort of, I remember going into them and one of the girls saying, "This is so bad, they're shouting at you," and I thought, "This is nothing compared to what I normally get. This is quite calm." So yeah, that was it, and I just really carried on. I kind of became a bit obsessive with it, and yeah, got my own salon with my fiance now, which is amazing in Edinburgh. And yeah, I think as an industry that it never stops moving. If you don't want it to, if you carry on moving, there'll be opportunities and things that open up to you constantly throughout. There's things that I've done in the last sort of few years that I wouldn't have thought would have been possible probably. So yeah, I think whatever you want within hairdressing, and there's things that I've done now that I didn't know I wanted, you can definitely do it. Definitely. So yeah, that's a quick part of my story, because I don't want to bore people too much on this.
For anybody who is just watching who hasn't seen Mathew's salon, you want to check it out. It's beautiful. It's a joke how nice that salon is, mate.
Well, do you know what? We actually, this is a sort of interesting one. So it's myself. Again, so guys, just before I go into another boring story, this section here, we could do it in one, but what I do in this area, I split into two sections, okay? And the reason for that, I will tell you. So this section here is going to be the main one. This is quite a small section, so technically, you wouldn't need to do this one. I'm going to do it because it's what I'm here to do tonight, and I will explain why, okay? So the main one here that I'm about to paint on is going to be, again, this face frame. So we're really making sure we're getting that nice blend right up to the root, or close to the root anyway. And then we are then going to just continue the way we've been doing it. And you can see, like, once you get into the rhythm of it, like, I know, and again, I know there's a lot of great hairdressers on this. Hopefully some of them, or a lot of you guys watching will be amazing hairdressers. And I think as soon as you paint on the hair and you see the section, if it looks good when you've painted it on like this, it's going to look good when it washes off, I think. That's always how I sort of judge how it's sort of looking along the way. Like, I think that hopefully you guys can see it. I think that section's looking pretty good so far. So if it looks good there, 99 times out of 100, it's going to look good once we wash it off and the client sees the result. So yes, salon-wise, the salon was actually called, it was myself and my fiance who opened it together, and it was called Mathew What Hair up until probably 8-9 months ago now. So when we first opened, it was the right thing. We wanted it to be my name, and it was definitely the right thing. But I don't know if a lot of you people agree. We felt that sort of things were moving on a little bit, and I think because I do a lot of education in that side of things, there was almost that crossover that if somebody searched your name up, the education might come up. So we're now socially painted, which it works great for us as a brand. We wanted to make it more about the brand in general and the people. So just before I go on to that as well, this is a subsection, what I always call it, okay? We've done the main one. So honestly, if a client had balayage already, I would just leave this out, okay? Because this is the area where we want more depth. But because we're all here, I may as well do this section. So again, it's the exact same principle, okay? We're just starting it a little bit lower down, just brushing it through there. And again, it's quite a fine section, this. So thanks everyone for watching, really appreciate this. And I know although we're on lockdown, you're still giving up your time to watch this. So thank you very much for everybody watching.
Somebody has just tuned in called Sabrina Murphy. She said, sorry, I missed the start of this. Can you tell me what bleach you are using for your freehand, please?
So Sabrina, thanks very much for your question and thanks for tuning in. So yeah, the bleach I'm using is the Kuhn Clay Lightener. It's called Freedom Blonde. It's a Freedom Blonde it's the clay lightener that I always go to, and what I love to use. It's got a great lift, and yeah, I just think it works really well. I think everyone will have their own preferences, and that's normal. Everyone will prefer their own brands and different things. This is the one that works the best for me. The consistency of it, I love the results of it, and they're the important things for me. So yeah, thanks Sabrina, and yeah, it is the Kuhn Freedom Blonde lightener that I use. So again, guys, we're on to this next section, and I'm going to take a little slice here just we don't want to cover too much of the hair. We want to keep that a little bit dimension throughout the hair, okay? So again, so also Sabrina, for you just tuned in, just to let you know, we will be showing the final result at the end of this. So once I've covered all of this, I'm not going to make you all sit and wait for it to develop. I've got another doll set that I've done the exact same technique on, and I'll show you. I've styled her hair, so you'll see the end result as well. So yeah, exact same here, guys. Painting it on. I think this is a bit that's, again, the bit that scares people. I think because you see a lot of people talking about the money piece and the face framing and things, and it is very important. So as long as you guys know the technique that you're doing, why you're doing it, and you're confident in it, I promise you the results will be beautiful. And this is a technique that I promise you, do it a couple of times, and the results you will get will be amazing. I promise you. So yeah, just onto my salon there, we changed the name of it. I think it was September time, some round about then. And yeah, it's now called Socially Painted. We do, so my fiance Alex, she does nails in the salon as well as pretty much doing all the business side of it and running it. Yeah, I'm not great at that side of things. And we do a lot of balayage, we do a lot of colour, obviously the nail section with Alex. So, and we like to be a social salon, whether that's on social media or clients feeling that, or just clients being in and enjoying their experience there. So yeah, Socially Painted is what we changed to, which has worked great actually. But yeah, I think you've got to evolve. I think you've got to continue to adapt and change things up and be willing to. So again, this little subsection here that I mentioned in the last one, exact same. As you can all see, it's a smaller section, and we're just really sort of, all we're doing for this bit really is feathering the colour down. We don't want anything too intense. Brush it up if you put a bit too much on. And that's it, guys. It's just really placement, making sure some of the key points here is you don't want this section here to be any higher than this section here. It's got to be lower, which it is. And that will give that nice gradual sort of lighter to darker going through, okay? But yeah, I actually done, we've got one assistant in the salon, and she's been with us as a Saturday assistant for about a year. So she was shampooing and stuff, started with us full time. And she's been doing blow drying and styling, and I actually got her, because she sees me doing this all the time, I got her to do balayage for her first ever colour and this technique, and she was great at it. So all you hairdressers out there will be able to do this 100% as soon as you get back in the salon, I promise you. And you will love the results. And importantly, your clients will as well. So please, any more questions, just let us know.
Yeah.
Balayage, any hair things at all, just let us know what you like to know.
Cool one for you. Gina Galarte says she's watching in Dubai.
Wow, thank you for watching in Dubai. That's the pressure's building here, isn't it?
I know, mate. Anybody who hasn't seen the video yet, we did an interview with Sammy from a salon in Dubai, and basically talking about the salons that have reopened over there already and what they're doing. So in regards to PPE, distancing,
yes,
everything. So if anyone wants to watch that, it's a good insight as to what's ahead for us, basically.
Yeah. So just to confirm there, Simon, I take it everyone can hear you talking there, or is it still just me?
So I've unmuted the box, and so when I
that's
unmute
fine.
the box,
That's good.
so when you hear my kids shouting in the background, or you hear me like burping, that's usually muted.
That's perfect, ideal. Just because I was going to, I watched that video actually, and it was very interesting. I think everybody is just that little bit sort of unsure and uncertain just now. So to get like the video you put together, it was a great insight into it.
Thanks, mate. Yeah, I enjoyed doing it. It was hard to piece it all together with 5 different time zones and 5 different interviews and people answering different questions in different orders. But back to your segment today, we have a good question from Rachel Bradley. She's put, always struggle when you have a grey root to colour and the money piece without it taking hours.
So, Rachel, thanks for your question. I think I would always go to doing the roots first. Always do the roots first if we're doing sort of lightening it up as well. If you can maybe say in the comments, has your client got sort of, if it's a client you're mentioning in particular, has she got quite sort of blonde hair and balayage on already, and you're just freshening up the money piece, or is it when you're adding in the money piece when they've not got when they've not got balayage already, if that sort of makes sense. So let us know if it's a new client or current one. If it's a client that's already got balayage, a way I do the money piece sometimes is you'll take almost like a fringe section at this area here and just using foils, almost doing probably about 3 back-to-back very fine slices, but it wouldn't take long at all. And then I'll take a couple of sort of very sort of, again, fine pieces and just weave it. And that just gives you that sort of nice gradient as well. So maybe that's something you could think about. But yeah, let us know what the client's hair is like just now, and I'll try and help her a little bit more. But very good question, Rachel.
Nicole Lucas says, watching from Hertfordshire, love your technique.
Thanks very much. So Nicole, thank you for that. And yeah, I really hope that it's a technique that all of you watching will be able to go and try and give a shot yourself. It's important for me. I think when other educators watching here, I don't know if it was the same for anyone else. When I started educating and put my sort of education side, I think it's a difficult one because you sort of want to. My problem with doing a live like this is you want to make sure you bring complete value to anyone that's watching, whether it's a course, whether it's a live video, whatever it may be. You want to make sure that. So when I've done any courses, I always get in touch with the people like the next day in the week and say, right, have you tried that technique yet? Have you done it? Because it's so important. If you go to a course and then it's not something you can implement in the salon straight away, you're going to forget about it. So yeah, everyone, give this technique a little shot, whether it's a doll said on lockdown, if it's a client once we get back into the salon, and please let me know how you get on. I'd really like to know that. But yeah, thank you for liking this technique. I appreciate it.
Lee Riddick, she said, is the bleach just coated the top of the sections or is it saturating right through?
So Lee, thanks for your question. So on the surface here, sort of higher up to the roots to almost the mid-ends, it's just on the surface. And then once I use a paddle, we're saturating it through the ends, okay? I've just finished this side, and what I'll do is I'll show you again in more detail when I come to doing this next side, okay? So as you can see, a bit higher up around the face, gradually coming down. And there's more here that's been left out because of our sectioning. And that is just going to give you that nice depth, no lines, and that sort of effortless transition, okay? So yeah, regarding sort of how much I'm saturating the hair, you'll get a really good insight and a really good angle at it here, hopefully, okay? I will do my best so you can see it as good as possible. So again, exact same on this side. We are taking a nice angled section. And yeah, I really appreciate everyone's questions as well. It's really good of you. And I think that's it with these live videos. The more questions that you ask, the more that everybody will get out of it. So this section here, we've taken it. Always start with like a reasonably thick section, not too thick, but on the thicker side because you want that really nice blend, okay? We want to make sure there's nothing on this part of the hair and it's really around the hairline, excuse me, that you want to see it, okay? So you're going to see the saturation really well here.
Jenny Murphy O'Neill, who's an avid commenter, just like Tracy Dunbar, they've been here since the beginning, has said, pure gentleman, wish you weren't explaining it so well so she could ask a question.
So that's a really nice comment. Were you on mute there, Simon, or not? So who's it that said that lovely comment, sorry? So Jenny Murphy, thanks so much for those lovely words. I really appreciate it. And I'm sure there'll be some question you can think of. I'm sure there's something that I'm not explaining 100%. So this section here, you'll hopefully get a really good angle at this. So at this area, I'm going to take it down a little bit further. There was pressure there. If there had been anything underneath, that wouldn't have worked. So there's no colour at all on this underneath section, okay? When we take it down, beautifully painted on the surface, and just absolutely nothing at all here. So once we've done that area, what we do, let's just bring it down a little bit more. So as I said, as we know, and as we've just seen, there's nothing at all on this underneath bit. We then take our paddle, balayage board, whatever we want to call it, and then that's when we really go for the saturation. So we really saturate. I brush it up a little bit here, just for that effortless transition, and then you're just painting. So this is going on throughout the hair at this point, because through the ends is where we really want to get that lightness and for the colour to pop that bit more, okay? So continue painting it down so the hair's getting constantly colour put on it. So on the surface, gradually going through to the underneath, okay? So I hope that explains that bit okay for you. And if not, I've got another few sections to go, so it's all good, okay?
New friend of the show, Eleni Celiaris. I've been practicing pronouncing that before I come out. Hello from Cyprus. Thank you for sharing your knowledge with us.
Well, very good. I can't pronounce it. Elena, thank you so much for that. And again, thank you very much for tuning in. And let us know how Cyprus is as well.
Yeah, man, we're going.
That's how everyone's getting on. And I've got to say, and Simon's not saying this in my ear just now, this Hair Socials has just been an incredible. I think if one good thing has came out of lockdown, it's probably been this, to be honest. It's the work that he's put into it, and he doesn't like to get too much credit, I don't think, for things, but it's been an absolutely incredible group, and the community built up in such a short space of time has been incredible. So thank you, Simon. I'm sure everyone else echoes that.
Yeah. There are some questions coming in while you repeat your sections. I'll ask my own question first because I'm being selfish. But do you know when you've actually done this and you've rinsed it?
Yes.
What would you then dry and tone? Would you not tone? Would you tone it wet?
So great question. So regarding toning, what I tend to do, not with every balayage, but certainly with a lot of them, and it's something I've mentioned a few times already, and I'll go into a little bit more detail at the end. But yeah, I tone every one of my balayages. Whenever I use lightener on the hair, I always tone. It's something that I know it's a bit of a funny topic. I had a client that came to me, and she said, right, I've got this. I think she'd been living in London, and she said, I've got this complicated formula. You've got to use the exact same. I want the exact same as this last girl done it. And I was expecting this very complicated formula to come in, and I got this bit of paper handed to me, and it was bleach and 30 volume highlights. I was like, okay, I can do that. So I mentioned to her, I was like, do you get tone normally? And she's like, no, my hairdresser just told me that people only tone when they make mistakes, which I completely disagree with. I use toners on anyone that I've lightened their hair up, using lightener anyway. I will always tone because for me, it gives it that expensive finish. So us as a salon now, when we rebranded to Socially Painted and we sort of as you do, you reassess price lists and the way you're going to work, we now, with any balayage service or highlighting service, we include a toner in the price. So for me, 99% of the time I put it on wet. Sometimes at the base in. If it was more of a complicated toner, so sometimes with the zone tone, I'll use a minimum of 2 different toners, okay? So what I will tend to go with is whatever the client's got on their root as a natural colour. So I'll paint that on the root. Again, I'll go into more detail at the end so you can kind of understand a bit more. And then I will use my sort of toner that I want the blonde to be. And that's just because for me, I think a lot of the time, clients can feel, and I know as hairdressers balayage, you can feel the root area can be that little bit too warm. So to just put like a nice cool, whether it's a 6 or 7, whatever it may be, onto the root, it gives it that effortless finish. It gives the client that shine. And it's a great way. It's something that I do on all my balayage. I always tone on balayage, and quite often I will put in like a little zone tone, as I like to call it. It's a great little way. If that makes sense to anybody.
Yeah, absolutely. Nicole Lucas can I ask the reasons why you don't weave or backcomb any of the sections? I was always taught to weave, says Nicole.
Yeah, so Nicole, thank you for your question regarding weaving and slicing. It's the main reason I slice is because I'm going to show you actually. I feel hopefully this will show it. So if I weaved and then was to take the section here, I just don't feel there's the same consistency within the hair. You've got different levels of thickness. You've got gaps. So when you go to paint on, there could be some bits underneath that you don't really want, okay? So when I slice it here, even if it's a very, very fine slice, keeping the sort of section you're painting a bit thicker, as you can see here, you've got that consistency and thickness, and you can really then paint on the surface. Because you're confident in painting hair as well, you know that you're going to paint it on really softly. So that's big. The reason I don't backcomb hair is, and please, I think if your technique is good, and if you guys do the exact same as I'm doing here just now, your technique will be perfect. You shouldn't need to backcomb too much. And I don't know if anyone else has had this. I remember at the beginning, sort of when balayage was first sort of coming out and people backcombing was such a popular way of doing it, I would be tempted to backcomb. I've tried it once or twice, and I just feel as soon as you do that, you're putting unneeded stress on the hair a little bit. And then when you come to washing the hair, you're then having to try and brush all of that out as well. So backcombing is something I've done once or twice, but I feel if you can get the confidence in your technique, what I'm going to do in the next section as well, actually, is I'm going to show you how if you make a mistake, this is real pressure, I don't know if I should really do this. If you make a mistake in a section, you can fix it quite simply, okay? So that's the two reasons that the slicing I prefer, because I feel I've got more consistency and I'm more in control of the final look and what I'm wanting to achieve. And yeah, backcombing, I feel it puts unneeded stress on the hair. And honestly, if you practice, just get the paint in the hair 100%, I promise you won't need to backcomb. And I think, not that it matters, of course it matters a bit, but the experience of the client, I feel, if you're backcombing every few sections, I've never had my hair backcombed, obviously, but yeah, I don't know how comfortable it is for them sitting there either. But yeah, it's not wrong. And everything, I said at the beginning, everything I'm doing today, I'm not saying my way is the right way or the only way or the best way. It is just the way that it works for me. And I feel I get so, like, the consistency in results is amazing. And I honestly feel like, I think with this technique, you can create hundreds of different looks. You really can. So if you can nail this technique, make it your own, you'll be able to do so much in the salon.
So while you
falling out there. So.
while you find your earpods, a couple of people have asked this question. Someone's asked how much extra do you charge for toning, and just to answer that for you, he includes it in his service. But the second part of the question, somebody asked this earlier on, and I didn't have time to ask you, and I've forgotten all about it. But Dawn Cropper has asked now. I'm quite interested. How much do you charge for a balayage?
So, really good questions. What I'm going to do, I'm going to get my other AirPod here, and then I'll be able to hear those questions again. 2 seconds. So, sorry. Yeah, so what were the 2 questions there again, Simon? Sorry.
So, just to repeat, sorry, one of the ladies asked how much you charge for toning, but I tried to explain that you include that in your service. But then other people have asked how much do you charge for a balayage, because she feels she's undercharging.
Perfect. And so the one regarding toners, yeah, as you said, Simon, I include that in my prices. What we would tend to, so for a straightforward toner that if it was individual and separate, it tends to be, so for a standard toner, it's an extra £20. Obviously for the zone tone, it's a little bit more. So yeah, we've included that in the prices to as much as we can. Of course, especially with balayage, it is very bespoke and tailored to the client. And the question as well about pricing is a great one, because I think it's something that when we rebranded, we spent a lot of time on this part of the pricing. So what we've got for balayage, and I will give you my sort of the prices for myself, and everyone's different because areas are different, and I totally get that. So don't think what I'm charging is what everyone should charge, or there'll be people that charge a bit less than me, there'll be people who charge a bit more. So we've now got a balayage menu. So we've got, just 1 second, move this doll's head a little bit. So we have got, I think there's 4 options on our balayage. Was it 4 or 5? I'll go through them. So the most expensive one is Beyond Blonde balayage. And that is for a client that's really, although they're technically calling it balayage, probably as hairdressers, we're thinking it's a bit more than that. Balayage is obviously meant to be very natural and very soft, but we all know the clients that want, pretty much, they want to be really blonde, but they want a bit of a natural route. So for that one, so that price is £210. The cut and blow dry is added on top of that. And again, that's like a big job. That's a big colour correction. The next one, we've got Beachy Balayage, which is, guys, I've not got the prices exactly on the top of my head. I think it's about £175 for Beachy Balayage. So that's, again, it's going bright and going blonde, but with a bit more hair left out than the Beyond Blonde would have. And then it goes down to Bronze Balayage, which, again, we all know what that is. And as we know, it takes a little bit less time. So Bronze Balayage, do you know, Alex, what the price is? So Alex is checking prices just now. I think it's, in fact, I'm going to wait until she gets it. So that's the third option on the menu. And then, so guys, just before we go on to the last one, this section here, we would sometimes slice it, sorry, but I know if I slice this, this would be far too fine, okay? We can see through the hair. So what I'm going to do is just take this in one section. And again, when I'm doing my courses, this bit scares people as well, because especially when it's a section so close to the pattern in the last one, they feel that it could be a bit liney, and I promise you guys it's not, okay? As long as we're careful. And as I'm going to mention at the end, we've got the zone tone, okay? So yeah, I've got the price here, Alex. So bronze balayage is £133, and that again, as I said, it's a little bit less. Bronze balayage is probably close to what balayage should be to a point, I'd say. And then the other option, which is a really nice one, is what's it called again, Alex? What's the last option called again? You can see why Alex is in charge of everything. Yeah, balayage refresh. So that is, if we were using this technique, and that's £85 for balayage refresh, with again the cut or the blow dry on top of that. That's a really nice one, because a lot of the clients that you've got that are regulars won't need, even if they've got beyond blonde balayage, they won't need that done every time, because you just don't. So they can come in 6 to 8 weeks time, or even 12 weeks time, getting a wee refresh. So that is literally going up the sort of the face framing area and maybe putting like 3 or 4 bits either side. So I would say to anyone that does a lot of balayage, have a look at your prices and create a menu, because if you've got somebody wanting a balayage refresh or a complete change, it's not fair to kind of give them the same price. So yeah, that's a big bit of advice I would say. So I hope everyone can see this just now. I'll bring it up a little bit closer. So you can see there it's really nicely painted on, hopefully, if you can see that. The back, as we said, in fact, what we'll do, we'll recap a wee bit. So the back, you've got a bit more depth through the crown. You've got a bit more hair left out here, because we want the depth here as well, as you can see. And we've been quite steep with our angle. So throughout this area of the head and at the hairline, it's going to be a bit higher up. And then through the front, we've got bits here that are going to be face framing, which is really nice, and then gradually coming down a little bit deeper, okay? So what I'm going to do now, anyone got any sort of questions for the next wee bit, drop them in now, and I'm going to go over the zone tone, all right? So I'm sure it's something...
Somebody has asked, is this the beach balayage that you're doing now? Which balayage is this?
Yeah, so that's a very good question on what balayage this would be. It depends on a couple of different things. So it depends on what the client's current look would be like. So I would say this is almost, again, so these prices that we've got are very much sort of from these prices. This is almost in between. So from a technical point of view, we've probably done what a beachy balayage would cost. But from the overall look, it would look like a bronze balayage, if that makes sense. So obviously we don't want to confuse clients too much. So I would charge for this the beachy balayage look. The bronze balayage would be more, so although it'd be a bronze balayage look, we've got to sort of break it into, although clients will see our look and hear the look, we've got to break it into the sort of technique that we'll do. So I'm doing a beachy balayage technique and the amount of colour that we're using and the way we're doing it, but the final result we want to be more of a bronze balayage, if that sort of makes sense, hopefully. So again, please just keep on asking questions. The zone tone is something that I do a lot of and I've been mentioning, okay? So if this was my client and we'd rinsed off the hair, it's a great way. So what we'll do, we rinse it off. Obviously, I can't do it just now because we're not in the salon. But what we would do, we would wash it, we wouldn't condition it yet, and then we'd go in. So on this doll side, for example, I would probably go with a 6-1 on the root. Semi-permanent or demi-permanent, whatever we want to call it. 6-1 on the root. And what we would do is we'd leave this triangular section out, okay? Just like that fringe area that we'd leave out, and the hairline at the front. I'd paint on this one, taking it down to about this area here, both sides, and also taking it through the back as well, okay? Almost like a very ultra quick regrowth almost. Once you've done that, it's sort of comb it, so you're getting that effortless blend through it, and then you go in with whether it's your 9 or your 10, whatever you want to achieve, and take that through the rest, okay? At the very end, once you've done the full head, I would then just tapping on the 6-1 round the hairline, because you don't want to go too dark around there. That's where you want the sort of money piece, you want the brightness, you want the brightness. And yeah, so do this at the very last moment. Just tap the colour on, give it a wee comb through so there's no lines, and then we're going right in again with our 9 or 10. So that is a zone tone. So it's something that you can do at the basin if you want to. It honestly is very, very quick. Guys, I know we should be really technical here, but you're you're not chucking it on the root, but you're being very quick. You're painting it on quickly, giving it a comb through, and then you're going in with your blonde toner, okay? So that will guarantee a perfect blend. There's a little bit that insurance, and I think I said, I said to somebody I was going to show if you made a mistake how easy it was to fix actually, and I forgot about that. So I'm going to put myself in that pressure. So the zone tone is a great thing. If you're doing a zone tone with a 6, for example, and if you're using 2 toners basically, I would also think of the price that you're charging for that. So you're doing 2 colours, you should probably charge a little bit more than you would just for the one, okay? So what I'm going to do, somebody mentioned about being sort of scared to paint on and stuff, okay? I'm getting bleach on my hands here. So you've got to know that you can fix anything you do. This is really pressure. So if you put too much colour on, like here, right, just chucking that on there, which isn't good, you can really, if you just brush it out, brush it up a little bit and make sure everything's even. And that's what we want with balayage. You just need to make sure when you're painting things on, everything's consistent, okay? So although it's not necessarily what we would want to do, there's still nothing underneath, apart from this wee bit that I just painted. There's nothing underneath on this section here. And we've kind of blended that through a bit, okay? So brushing up, let me turn this around a little bit. Something I always say on my clothes. So if you've got too much colour somewhere, brushing up the way will blend things through beautifully, okay? Even with a cat in the background. So that is a big bit. So if you get confident in this technique and deliberately, on a doll set obviously, make a couple of mistakes and just practice blending it through. So when you're in a salon environment and something happens, if you paint the wrong section on a client or something, you know that you're not in trouble because it's really easy to fix, I promise you. There's not much with this technique. If you really stick to the fundamentals of it, you can't really go wrong, promise. All right? So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to swap over doll sets, okay? Again, any questions on this that I've missed out or you want to know more in detail, please give us a message. Let me know. So there you go, guys. That's the full sort of freehand painted balayage. I've got no idea how much time that took me, to be honest. But I'm sure you were also. So it's an hour. So that's pretty good going. So like as you've seen, that's a lot of colour we put on there. We didn't leave out too much of the hair, so we could really focus on the technique. I guess other doll set here. So guys, it's definitely achievable in the salon, okay? So Alex, I'm going to pop this down a little bit so you can see. So this is a doll set that I've done the exact same technique on, okay? As you can see, I'm going to get a brush as well.
While you do that, I'm just going to answer a question for you earlier. Somebody actually stated, there you go. Thank you. I charge about £7 for all my customers and regulars, and I'm not sure how to put it up. It does normally take me at least an hour to put it on, and it always comes out great. I need to review my prices, and I think Mathew will stick up for me here, but don't 100% you need to review your prices, not because you're necessarily undercharging, but because you don't believe in your sort of confidence, and you need to reevaluate that. And if you watch back on the Winning Ways, they're unbelievable 2 guys to watch. They were on Thursday last week, and they was on a few days before that, a week before that. But if you watch them, I'm actually reviewing my prices with them because I'm in the same boat as you. So yeah, but Matthew's prices are probably nearer where we should all be charging.
I think that's obviously I'm in Edinburgh, we're city centre based as well, and I think that comes into account. But definitely with your prices, charge what you're worth. If you're doing great work and all your clients are really liking what you're doing, you should definitely be charging that a little bit more. And it's difficult as well, but I would say long term, and I'm sure a lot of people will sort of hopefully agree with this, that you might lose a couple of clients, and it's never nice to do that, but you will gain clients as well. If you're known as that sort of specialist in the area, or people will come to you for that work, I promise you. So it's a difficult one to do, and it's always, especially with I think we all find it difficult with our regular clients to sort of put up that price a little bit. But definitely, even if you sort of set out the price list and you don't have to explain too much of why you're doing it, you can talk about you've done a lot of education, you've sort of prices into products. None of these things are cheap. So no, definitely charge what you're worth. And if all your clients are loving your work and you're loving the results, it's definitely worth a bit more, promise you. Hopefully you agree. So guys, as you can see, this is the final look here, right? I can't see it too much, so hopefully it's looking good. I'm going to look at Alex's phone here. Let's see. Yeah, very effortless, okay? So what I've done with this, colour-wise, used I think it was like a 7-1 on the root, and it's probably about a week or 2 ago I've done this, okay? So I used 7-1 on the root, combing it down a bit, and then I went into, it was like a 9-1, so it's a violet-based cool colour, okay? This doll has got a lot of warmth, obviously, and it just gives it that really nice shine. You can see there's no lines anywhere, which is the important thing. So whatever way you brush the hair, it looks really nice, okay? So hope everyone likes this. I hope it looks all right. And I think something else, one of the big things I do for my clients, and I hope a lot of you guys do it, that I've waved the doll's heads here today because I think we all agree that balayage does look better when it's got a bit of a wave through it. But with all my clients, as soon as I finish a balayage, even if they want it wavy in styles like this, I will always blow dry it straight to begin with. And I think that's our opportunity to sort of show off a little bit and prove that there's no lines and stuff. But if you can make a balayage look incredible and flawless when it's straight, it's just going to look even better when it's wavy, okay? So that's something that I would definitely do. Let the client see it straight and talk through it, not talk through it to the extent I have today, but talk through what you're doing. If you can do, when I'm painting the surface on a new client, say like at the front, I'll show them there's nothing underneath. And then clients love that. I think it's important to sort of, not to show off our work, but let them know the thoughts going into it, how you're doing it, how you're achieving it, and they'll appreciate that a little bit more, I think. So yeah, I think that's any more questions at all before we go. If there's anything I've missed out, just message me and I will do my best to get back to you as soon as possible. Obviously got plenty of time just now, there's nothing much going on, so it's fine.
No, I just want to say thanks to everybody tuning in, because there were more than 100 throughout the whole thing, which is it's a really good number to keep. The comments coming through are stunning, looks great, beautiful, lovely and soft looking. There is a question about what tool you use to curl that, please. So
I don't know the product brand Amica. It's an American brand, so they've got a wand. It's called Chameleon, I think. It's absolutely amazing. It's really good. It comes with 5 different. Alex is the way to get it just now, actually. So it comes with 5 different tools. So I used that. Yeah, it's a wand. So yeah, what we've done, I don't mean basically, but yeah, just really waving it, working up the head, working at angles through this area as well to give a bit more of a natural finish. Thank you very much, babe. So there we go. This is it here. That's the size we used. We can see that. And then very much once we finished it, we put on a little bit of hairspray, we brushed it out, and that was it. So yeah, the Amica Chameleon wand, I think it's called.
Awesome. Right, well, I'll leave it at that. But honestly, I'm saying it out loud so everyone can hear me, that this is probably the most sort of love I've seen after a live with the comments. So yeah, well done, mate. There's a lot of love coming through.
Thank you so much, everyone. I genuinely can't say how much I appreciate it. So thank you very much.
If you want to
thank you, Simon,
Instagram
as well.
in there while you're here before they go, because you've still got 100 people in.
Yep, check my Instagram if you want to. It is at Mathew Watt. Mathew's just got 1 T in it, and then WATT. You'll find me there, okay? You'll find me. Thank you so much, everyone.